Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about the different kinds of notes there are and what they're called, what their durations are, or how long they last. It's really easy to tie yourself in a knot when you talk about the note values, and I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible. So I'll just read the intro here. It says different types of notes have different durations or values. Some are long and some are short, and each note has an equivalent rest. The UK and US names for notes are given below, with the US names in italics. Now, strictly speaking, it's not just the UK, it's a kind of a European tradition, these other note names that we will come to. So we'll start off with the first one here. So we've got the semibreve. Now the semibreve is also called a whole note. So this is where we get these two different naming systems. The semibreve is the kind of European way of naming them, and a whole note would be the US name of naming the note. But basically we're talking about a note with 4 beats. So if you were to hear a semibreve played on say a trumpet, it would be a held note. It would be a long note. It would fill up the whole bar. So it would be a continuous or something like that. Sorry about the trumpet impression. If it was, however, played on a drum, well, a semibreve on a drum is just going to sound like that. It's going to be a very short sound because we can't make a long sound on a drum. Well, we'll come to that actually in a minute. But so that's something worth bearing in mind, that although we use the same notes as all the other instruments, we can't really play a long note on a drum. It's just going to sound very short. So after the semibreve, we've got the minim, which is also known as a half note. And the minim is indeed half as long as the semibreve. And that's what its rest looks like. So a minim rest also lasts for 2 beats. Then we have a crotchet and a crotchet rest here, and the quaver and a quaver rest, semibreve and a semibreve rest, and a demi-semiquaver and a demi-semiquaver rest. So each of those also has an American name associated with it. We've got the quarter note for a crotchet, 8th note for a quaver, 16th note for a semiquaver, and a 32nd note for a demi-semiquaver. So yeah, those are the different notes, and actually they kind of halve each time. So we've got our semibreve, then we have the minim, which is half as long. A crotchet is half as long as a minim. A quaver is half as long as a crotchet, and a semi-quaver is half as long as a quaver, and so on. Demi-semiquaver, half as long as a semiquaver. So it can be a bit confusing. But don't worry, because to begin with, we'll mainly be looking at crotchets, which are nice and friendly and easy, and quavers, which are equally nice and friendly and easy. So moving on, I shall just read this bit. Although drums and percussion instruments use the same kinds of notes as all the other instruments, duration is less important to drummers because drums cannot sustain sounds in the same way as, say, a piano or a violin. A semibreve performed on a drum sounds the same as a semiquaver, which is the point I was trying to make earlier with the trumpet impressions. Drummers get around this by playing closed rolls, where the notes are played very close together to produce a long, continuous sound. So I don't have my drums near me at the moment. I would show you one, but I'm sure you know what a drum roll sounds like. Most people know what a drum roll sounds like. So a continuous roll without any gaps would give the illusion of a sustained sound. Okay, moving on. Time signatures. So now time signatures are another one of those subjects which it's easy to gloss over them, but it's probably a good idea just to address them. We don't have to go into tons of detail, but just get a general gist of what they mean. So a time signature comprises 2 numerals, one on top of the other. As a beginner, it's sufficient to understand that the top numeral means the number of beats in the bar. So this 4 here means the number of beats in the bar. For many years, I didn't understand time signatures much beyond this. And indeed, you probably don't need to begin with, because most of the stuff you're going to be doing is in 4/4. The meaning of the bottom numeral remained a total mystery. This is true. The penny finally dropped when I learnt about the American method of naming notes, which explains them as fractions. So instead of crotchets, we get quarter notes, quavers are eighth notes, semiquavers are 16th notes, and so on. That's just the stuff we had in this previous picture up here. Thus, in the time signature 4/4, the bottom 4 is implying quarter notes. It's referring to that fraction idea of there being quarter notes. And it's telling us that there are 4 quarter notes in the bar. So 4 being telling you how many there are, and the bottom number saying that those notes are going to be quarter notes. And the other name for a quarter note is a crotchet. That's right, well done. So here are our 4 quarter notes or crotchets in the bar. So as we go on, we've now got another example. Now this is a slightly more, slightly trickier example. This is 12/8, all this stuff down here. So what does 12/8 mean? Well, think about it. It means we've got 12 eighth notes in the bar. And the other name for an eighth note is a quaver, which was talked about somewhere up here. There we go. A quaver, also known as an eighth note. So that's what they look like when they're by themselves. And when you join them up, they have a little beam that goes across like this. So we get 12 of those in the bar, and they're grouped together in threes just to make it a little bit easier to read. So that's all I really want to go into at the moment on time signatures. If you've got any questions, please get in touch with me and I'll do my best to answer them. I know it's all a little bit tricky at first and it might seem like a massive overload of information, but honestly, just keep going back to it, keep going over it. It will start to sink in time. You've always got this here and the printout to go back to, and hopefully you'll get there. I know you'll get there. All right, bye for now.